Quick update on the Alligator Alcatraz. You've been following me. I've been keeping you up to date on the lawsuit filed by the Friends of the Everglades, the Mukasiki tribe, and the Center for Biological Diversity based on the environmental impact of the Miami-Dade located detention center. And when we last spoke, I'd let you know that Judge Kathleen Williams had decided to issue a temporary pause on future construction pending further hearings and further discussions and deliberations regarding the future of that facility. Now, this is separate from that. Separate from that, I'm seeing reporting from the Guardian newspaper that there is a outbreak of a respiratory disease, possibly COVID-19, that's running rampant through the detention center. Now, there's a woman on TikTok that I just discovered who was called to drive down from Missouri to Alligator Alcatraz to just see what's going on and report on it. She's a social worker. This is her account. So in this video right here, I'm going to do it, share it with you, and I'm going to go ahead and play it. She's saying that she's getting reporting from people that's at Alligator Alcatraz, and their reporting is that they're seeing the cells next to them being emptied out, like people were being removed.
Hi, my name is Taylor. I drove from Missouri to Alligator Alcatraz, and I made a bunch of connections there while I was there. And we are hearing from detainees who are communicating with their family members that for the past 48 hours, they have been moving people en masse very quickly. People are watching the cages next to them be completely emptied. They're moving hundreds of people at once, and we were trying to figure out why. And they were told today that the facility is closing. We don't know why, we don't know if it's temporary, but people are being scattered across detention facilities across the country. Hi, my name is Taylor. We have an update on Alligator Alcatraz detainees being transported out of the facility. Some of them are showing back up on the ICE locator. Many of them are in El Paso, Texas, at the enhanced hardened facility. And there is an urgent need for pro bono lawyers with experience with this facility. I am being told that acting as quickly as possible is of the utmost importance because they're trying to move people out of there as soon as possible.
And there's also a report, I'll put a link here, of a woman who says her husband was housed there for about a month, but he has been removed. Now, what likely is going on is what happens when you do one of several things. You campaign, this goes all the way back, when you campaign on mass deportation and you tell your followers and your cult members that you're going to take away all the criminals, because you say there's all these criminals. You say these people were emptying out their insane asylum and the prisons, and these all these prisoners here. And when you determine that actually there are really not that many criminals, because the people they're taking are neighbors, they're folks who had already availed themselves to the process. These folks who are, perhaps they came to the United States on a visitor's visa or some other sort of temporary basis, and at some point they decided to file an asylum claim, or they decide to adjust status because they get married, or they have a fiance, they're engaged to someone, or they get hired by an employer that's going to sponsor them to allow them to stay. So for the brief moment that they were out of status, the Trump administration is using that brief moment to cancel the basis for which they're allowed to stay, get a work permit and check in, cancel it, and then let them come back and then seize them and put them in detention centers. So we're going to process you through the Trump cruelty agenda, because it's not really about illegal or criminals. It's about just mass deportation, removing as many black and brown, non-white people from the country. Because best believe somewhere in the upper Midwest in Minneapolis, there's a lot of Ukrainians, Irish, and there's European white immigrants that overstay their visas, that America knows where they are. There are pockets of them, about 600,000. None of them being raided. So this is an active attempt to, you've heard of the white replacement theory. You've heard of the fear of the 2038, 2050, where the nation becomes majority Hispanic. And this is just an attempt to slow that down. I've said that before in previous videos, but that's all this is. In the story, fight me on it, because it's just, it walks like a duck, it talks like a duck. So anyway, I digress. Back to the thing at hand. So what, if you have your policy on just removing people, irrespective of the fact that a lot of them actually avail themselves to the government or following the process, had been given a work permit, or checking in regularly, and you're getting them based on changing the rules. I'm going to talk about that in a future video. then you're going to do stuff like just ask your red Republicaners, DeSantis and Abbott in Texas, to help you detain our neighbors, people who are working, and put them in inhumane conditions without following process. Skip the steps it requires you as a federal entity to get an environmental impact statement before you locate something like the Everglades. And George, freaking DeSantis is very aware, Ron, that the Everglades has wildlife, has species, is one of the largest, what they say, biodiversity sort of area in the entire Western Hemisphere. You're very aware that you have treaties with the Miccosukee tribe and the Seminoles related to that area. You aware of that, and you let them. You front the cost to build this thing in 8 days. It's a shoddy job. It's horror construction. You putting asphalt, causing runoff water, causing like destruction of the very sensitive and fragile ecosystem to appease Donald Trump, which is stupid. Bring him down there. You know it's a shoddy operation. You have these signage, permanent signage. You have all these MAGA people creating Alligator Alcatraz merch on Etsy, which is going to be useless. You can keep it there for prize, but it's going to be useless soon. You do all that stuff knowing very well you don't have the permits, knowing very well you're creating a situation that's inhumane and treating people, fellow human beings, the way, not far cry from the way they treated the enslaved people. Do that. You put this, it's a circumstances, it's a confined during the hurricane season in the swamp where there's lots of mosquitoes, there's heat, poor sanitation, underdeveloped sort of infrastructure, a shoddy operation. You knew all of the signs, all of the trappings of what is going on now in terms of it being this outbreak fiasco, when you could potentially, and here you're putting not just the detainees at risk, you're putting the staff, the people that work there, because COVID is not going to just be, say, we're going to just be COVID just to the detainees. You're risk losing all your workers, anybody who's a vendor, anybody who's a food service, anybody who's there, federal agents, all of those people, all y'all can get COVID. And COVID is still a deadly disease. COVID took out a lot of people still. So someone said they're seeing a number of instances of ambulance arriving and leaving. People are sick. This facility was a freaking trash mess to begin with. Someone were to believe in something like, I don't know, something like tribal, sort of ancestral, sort of like spirit, witchery, sorcery sort of things in terms of like shutting this down. It's sort of an order. It's like it's been shut down. It's going to be shut down. If it wasn't going to be shut down by the courts, if I said in previous videos that Judge Kathleen Williams isn't moving fast enough, because it was a rocky start, because when this case was first brought to the courts, 2 magistrate judges and 1 district court judge had to recuse themselves because they have some sort of relationship with the facility, and they landed on Kathleen Williams, who, she's a good person because she had already previously issued civil contempt against the Florida AG for some other nonsense he had done. So it shows that she's a good person for the case. So they got a good judge. However, she could have more quickly shut it down, but she did. I'm not going to get on her too much because she did shut it down, and she's moving as fast as she could in terms of having the processes. So at some point it was going to get shut down on legal grounds for failing to meet the basic minimum requirements of the state and federal governments regarding when you're building on some sort of land, or you're going to do something that's going to disrupt the environment. There's just a National Environmental Policy Act requirements. The Trump administration tried to say, this isn't a federal facility. This is Georgia doing it on their own. But then on the public record, Kristi Noem says that we're going to reimburse them. She's calling it a federal facility. Everyone is on there is based on federal immigration detention. There's nobody there on state detention. It's not a jail. It's a federal immigration detention. You have ICE trucks there. The president of the United States federal came down to visit it. So it walks like a duck. It talks like a duck. It's a duck. It's a federal facility. And because it's a federal facility, irrespective of the fact that the Georgia state fronted the money, everything about that operation is federal, and it's them, and they did it at the behest of them. So they were supposed to follow that law. So they did not follow the law, and they were on their way to be shut down anyway. But before they could do it, nature, the petri dish for disease of a trashy operation, and this it's indicative, and it's a microcosm. It's exemplar of every single thing of the Trump administration's past since he come into office. Every single thing they've done has been half-assed, rushed, If you follow process and procedure, if you follow the law, if you do orderly, you slow the freak down and do things accordingly, you can accomplish your agenda, but you don't do it the right way. You do it the sloppy way and you get stopped and pulled back. If it's not the courts, it's not Mother Nature, if it's not disease, if it's not like public opinion, if it's not something, it's just a mess, it's chaotic, it's a circle, it's going to continue to be like that forever. This is just one of an example. Anyway, keep up with me. I'll keep up and let you know what goes on. But yeah, Alligator Alcatraz, I predicted it was going to get shut down. I didn't know it was going to shut down this way, but yeah, another prediction rate for JJ Legal. Each one teach one. Share this account. I'm keeping you updated in the dockets. I'm letting you know beyond the headlines. So stay tuned so you feel lifted and know that we're winning and we are, yeah, circus organization of administrations.